Good morning. Welcome to this Tuesday edition of Shields and Arrows, where we defend the faith, the family, and the fellowship. I am Pastor Mark Baze. Thank you all for joining us yesterday. We did not have Shields and Arrows, but I did appear as a guest on the Grace Life podcast, and that was fun. Full 2 hours of talking about all sorts of different stuff. We went through kind of my background and then answered some questions and just kind of went all over the place. It was a really good time, and I really enjoyed it. Back to normal now. And hopefully you were able to catch it. If you have not watched it yet, you can just go over to the Fellowship Bible Church Orlando YouTube page under their live stream, and you'll be able to get caught up. And it was a lot of fun. It was a really good time. Now, with that being said, though, that means that I missed a whole day of talking and discussing things going on in the world. Let's talk about some stuff. So first of all, did the government just endorse a hit on Trump? So it's almost well, I guess you just have to laugh. You just have to say it's comical. Otherwise, it would just make you furious, because we had a confused lady buying into the LGBTQ agenda go into a Christian school and murder a bunch of children. That manifesto was concealed for well over a year, and it was only released due to some leaks, right? It wasn't like it was officially released. You will recall, even though the media has been trying to bury it, there have been a number of attempts on Trump's life, right, in the past, well, it matters of weeks, a couple months, and we most recently had this one in which a man was camped out on the fence by his golf course. I don't mean literally camping out, but he had been there for quite some time waiting for his opportunity, and assuming if Trump would have made it a few more holes up further on the course, then he would have had nothing but a chip shot to kill the president. This would-be assassin is being prosecuted right now. Remember how the Department of Justice, the federal government, the FBI couldn't release the manifesto of all these other shooters and whatnot because, sensitive information. They have already released the manifesto, a note, a letter written by this would-be assassin. And so I've got Daily Wire reporting from this. Let me get our website pulled up so you can take a look at it, but pretty astounding, in which this letter that's released, not only is it just a letter about all of his ire and hatred for Trump, but the truth is it contains something quite interesting here as I'm going to get this pulled up for you. And I had it, and then I thought I recorded the link for you. Give me just a moment. Sometimes we don't always, get these things perfectly aligned right off the bat. Let's see. This is not the link that I was exactly wanting, but this is the one that I can show you, I suppose. And so the letter is released. And in this letter, the would-be assassin clearly, says that this was an assassination attempt. And it's interesting how you read this. So this is coming from Daily Wire. In the letter, it was written several months ago and was discovered in a box of items that this assassin left with another person. It says that this was an assassination. This was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump, but I failed you. I tried my best and gave it all the gumption I could muster. It is up to you now to finish the job, and I will offer, notice this, $150,000 to whomever can complete the job. That's an amazing thing that here is this letter that has been officially released by the DOJ, in which this would-be assassin is calling out for a hit, offering $150,000 to anybody that could succeed. Now, you could maybe say that, well, how is he going to pay it out while he's in prison? But all that aside, the fact that this has been released when we've had so many other very relevant manifestos, letters, information that has been concealed and not been brought into the open. And now the one time that they release a letter, they give a manifesto in very short order. I mean, it's almost breakneck how quickly this came out. The one time that they are being honest and open with us, it includes a $150,000 hit on President Trump. You can't make this up. It's laughable. And it's one of those matters that, are they genuinely trying to show that they're wanting to be more upfront now? Maybe you could argue that. Maybe they're just saying, look, we're turning over a new leaf. We're being honest. We're being open. Now we're trying to share this information with all of you. And yet, they have not proven themselves to be good faith actors, right? They just haven't shown themselves to be an agency, a government that is genuinely acting out in honest and good faith. The one time that they decide, yeah, we're going to be open and honest now, nothing but complete transparency from here on out. Yeah, here's this letter. It's got a $150,000 hit on the presidential candidate that we are opposed to. So we've already had 2 different attempts on his life. There's nothing about this that seems honest. There's nothing about it that seems genuine or like they're trying to turn over a new leaf. They have burned us so many times. The federal government, the 3-letter government agencies have shown time and again that they despise the idea of the people being able to govern themselves. They believe they are the bureaucracy that is unelected and yet ultimately holds all the power and authority over us. There's just no reason why you should consider anything that they do in honest and good faith. If they had been consistent the entire time, if for the past 5 years they have been releasing information just transparently, openly, consistently, we would have thought nothing of this. But now, all of a sudden now you're going to do it? You do not deserve any credibility. You do not deserve any credibility. So that's why we don't trust hardly any government agency anymore, at least on the federal level. And I'm not telling you that you can trust all the state level agencies either, but certainly on the federal level. The bigger the federal government, the worse it is. And I think that that's something that people are finally starting to wake up to. We've got to shrink the government drastically. Furthermore, another thing that our federal government's trying to do is completely overrun us with illegal immigration, or just immigration in general. So we've already been hearing about Venezuelan gangs. Whether it is gangs taking over apartments in Colorado, obviously the overrunning of Springfield, Ohio, with Haitian immigrants. Also, there's starting to be gang wars between like Venezuelan gangs and the gangs of Chicago. Why are they allowing this to happen? It's already proving that our Social Security, our welfare state is stretched too thin. We spend way too much money on it. We have way too many people abusing the system. And it's already clear that it's not a sustainable method. And yet, what are we doing? We are allowing more people to come over, and we are allowing them to take advantage of it. Why? Our cities, and I mean it is getting closer and closer. We are already in Oklahoma starting to see an increase in homeless people just traveling the highways. The Highway 70 stretches from Durant to Hugo, actually goes onward past Hugo. But there are people that are walking that. That is, and I'm just going to give you just a rough estimate of distance, 40 miles. And people are just constantly walking up and down that highway. That was something that you just did not see. We're already getting overrun. The housing market is, for one, unaffordable for most normal people, even hardworking people. They can't afford to buy a house, let alone build a house. They're having to rent. They're having to live in apartments, whatever the case may be. They can't afford it. And there's not enough housing to go around. There's new houses popping up all the time around here. Because everybody's moving over from Texas because California moves into Texas and pushes all the Texans northward. We're already not in a place to be taking on more people because the rate of migration coming in is exceeding even like what birth rates should be. Or at the very least, it's canceling it out. The United States is increasing in population size, make no mistake, but it's not because we're having babies, we're killing our babies. We are instead replacing our children with immigration. And furthermore, that rate of immigration, I think, is, depending on the numbers, very possibly even higher than what our birth rate might even be. So there's a lot of interesting things to consider in that aspect. Why are they doing it? Why is the federal government so interested in flooding the country with all of these people? We're just going to think for a moment. We're going to try to think critically. This is not me trying to claim some wild conspiracy theory. This is just trying to think what recent events have happened that possibly could shed some light on why the government may be interested in doing this. When is the last time that the government seized vast amounts of power? Now, there's been a number of times in U.S. history that the government has seized massive amounts of power. Some of those are not nearest comfortable to talk about because history is kind of, well, our history classes have painted those times with some really bright, pretty brushes and not told the whole story. But let's not even go there for right now. When is the most recent time in which the federal government seized massive amounts of power? That would be 2020 with COVID-19. COVID-19, governments essentially shut down our churches, they shut down our towns, they limited restaurants, how many people could be. I mean, it was just a massive, massive overreach. They forced so many people to get vaccinations. And healthy young people that really didn't even need them, you can maybe argue the older population, it might have been beneficial. That's even a debate, right? But they seized a lot of power. They liked that. All right, you could see how much Dr. Anthony Fauci was up there and enjoying his press conferences and everybody flocking to him. Now, granted, there's kind of an elephant in the room. Who was the president at the time? It was Trump. I think that that's the first time in our lifetime, maybe even in the history of the United States, that we really were hit by something like that, and nobody was prepared to respond to it. Looking back now, the idea of us walking around wearing those silly cloths over our faces, like we all realize that was ridiculous. Some of you that are watching right now, you realize it was ridiculous from the very get-go, the very beginning. The world post-2020, many of us realize how absurd it all was. The rule of 6 feet. The idea of shutting down our churches, shutting down our schools. It's all just absurd. Now, I'm not saying that people weren't getting COVID. There were some people that died from it. We've been dealing, though, with illnesses that people die from a lot, whether it is the flu or some other strain of virus that finds its way coming through. But we were not prepared to handle it. Trump had never had to face it, so he didn't know how to handle it. Looking back now, we realize what a massive power grab it was, how absurd it all was. They have tried to ramp up COVID since. If you will recall, back in late 2023, 2024, they were kind of making a big deal about COVID again, right? Oh, COVID's coming back. You better, you may need to start masking up again. Get your COVID boosters. Get your COVID boosters. Nobody's really that worried about COVID now, right? Every now and then you may see a strange person wearing a mask still. Maybe they have good reason, but, some people, I think, are still living in fear of COVID. With all that, COVID has lost its shock factor. It doesn't scare people like it once did, because a lot of people have already had it. All right? You've tested positive for it, whatever. You survived. Not terrified of it anymore. What is the next thing they could do to seize power? What is the next thing they could do to get people to fall in line? It's not going to be monkeypox. Unfortunately, most of us don't live the lifestyle necessary to obtain monkeypox. But what if resources start getting stretched thin? What if there is shortages in housing? What if there is unrest? What if there's conflict in communities? What if the government was in a situation in which there was massive unrest and there was needing to be a rationing of resources? Once again, I'm not just offering a bunch of wild theories here. I think that we are looking at history. If you could flood America, if you could overrun the population, so much so that there is a strain on supplies, that every community has a form of unrest, trouble, maybe, just maybe, that would set the precedent for the government to declare martial law, massive control over all sorts of things. We need to control the means of production and distribution. We have a population that is outside of our control right now. It's time for the government to step in and implement some policies in order to address the massive problem. We've seen it in other countries. China, when their population was getting out of control. Now, partly because they had been just there, the Communist Party is communism's so ineffective that they created their own problems. But guess what? They were due to poor governance and being overrun, seized massive power. So much to the point that they implemented a one-child policy. Perhaps other places as well. Europe, all the more, is getting more condensed, more compact. They're having a lot more policies regarding like farming. Farming is heavily restricted in Europe. Maybe, just maybe, if they can, if a crisis is not going to happen naturally, and I'm not saying COVID was a natural crisis. I think it was a designed crisis. But if it's not going to happen naturally, maybe they could manufacture one. And maybe what they need to do is flood the country, And then when times get desperate, here comes the federal government riding in to save the day. Ronald Reagan, who was far from a perfect conservative, I have all sorts of complaints, but he did have one of the most important statements that something like the most terrifying words you can hear is, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." Just wait. We're going to wait and see exactly how severe they let immigration get, how much they can overflow small towns like Springfield, Ohio. Small town. To me, it's a huge town, but I get in the grand scheme of things, it's not the biggest. How many towns they can flood, how many resources they can drain, how many gang wars they can start. And then, when things are desperate and dire, here will come another government bureaucrat saying, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." Something to keep your eye on, something to be thinking about. And all the more reason why the states need to start reclaiming power back from the federal government. It needs to start with our border states. Texas, I'm going to keep calling on you. You've got to do it. You are right there on the border in a literal sense. Every state's a border state now due to the massive flow of illegal immigration and legal immigration as well. You've got to set the tone. You got to shut it down. You got to stop it. You got to do it now before it's too late. And even now, it's almost getting to the point where irreparable damage is being done. So it's a call to action. We got to get to work. All right, now, speaking about a call to action, I want to quickly remind you of our series that we're doing right now, kind of a shorter series on onward Christian soldiers, hoping, striving that our churches can be what they need to be. Strong, led by men, standing for the truth of God's Word. Yesterday I uploaded the Sunday sermon, Our Churches Are Emasculated. Our churches are emasculated. So our first one was Our Churches Are Weak, which is doing quite well, and much thanks to you. You have liked it, you've told people about it, you have commented on it, all those things help. And then right now, Our Churches Are Emasculated, sitting at 90 views right now from 21 hours ago. And that's not bad. Hopefully we can keep those numbers growing. More people hearing it, more people seeing it. And that's all thanks to you. So Our Churches Are Emasculated. They're not led by men. And because churches have been lacking in male leadership and actually just low in numbers of men attending, our churches have become more feminized and they're no longer welcoming to men. It's a major problem that we've got to fix, we've got to address. And so go ahead and give that a watch if you haven't gotten to check that out yet. I would greatly appreciate it. Be sure to share it with everybody so they can hear about it. And now let's talk about Israel, okay? Haven't been talking about Israel a whole lot lately. It's kind of, been a little bit interesting with, it's almost like something out of Looney Tunes with pagers and radios and whatnot going off in a targeted attack against Hezbollah. But now let's see here. Israel is now carrying out much more open war on Hezbollah. And let me get this pulled up for you. If I can get it pulled up. My links are not working for me today, but I can get this quickly snagged and brought up for you, I do think. So once again, coming from the Daily Wire, 1,000 pounds, or Israel pounds Hezbollah with 130,000 plus targets, killing hundreds, destroying thousands of missiles. And so Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, they have been obviously at war with Israel for some time now. Hezbollah terrorists, hate that Israel exists, and Israel doesn't much appreciate the terrorist attacks that are carried out on them. And so once again, you are seeing a rise in conflict in the Middle East. It is infuriating because people don't remember things. They just don't. And the media have done their very best to completely bury any history. In 1984, if there was a story that the party didn't like or something that needed to be forgotten, right? Maybe there was once upon a time something that was in the news. And such as like Joe Biden is competent and capable, right? And then all of a sudden he comes out for a presidential debate and he looks like he's not even cognitively aware of anything. Then they memory hole all the things that they say, right? About him being the quick-witted, capable leader. In 1984, there was that same thing. So if you had a bunch of newspaper clippings saying Oceania is at war with East Asia, and then all of a sudden, for some reason, they needed to stir up conflict, they needed to change the tone, they needed to change the conversation, all those stories would go away, and it would be Oceania has always been at war with West Asia, right? Or vice versa. The party could change it at will. Here is a part of that memory holding, all right, that we talk about. The Democrat Party, they have been making this claim, and they don't deserve the right to get to make the claim. It's an outright lie, and it's absurd. The story is if Trump gets elected again, it's going to send us into World War III. Before Trump left office and Biden took over, there was no war between Russia and Ukraine. None. There was about to be peace there was for much intensive purposes, there was peace in the Middle East. He was having all these different states, Israel in addition to Muslim states like Saudi Arabia signed the Abraham Accords. We were seeing a massive time of peace, of rest and conflict all over the globe. Now, after nearly 4 years of leadership by Biden and Harris, Russia and Ukraine have been at war. Israel and Hamas are at war. And now Israel is going to war with Hezbollah. Now, why is Hezbollah such a problem? Hezbollah is funded by Iran, right? Iran, whatever we say. Back in the day, it was everybody said Iran, and then I guess somewhere along the way, we decided to start being more inclusive and saying Iran. I'm going to say Iran, all right? When you win 2 world wars back to back, you can, tell us what you want to be called. So with that being said, what is this going to do? It's not going to help the Democrats at all. Now, they're not going to report on it. They're going to just probably ignore the whole matter. And then if Kamala Harris is elected, then it's going to get back to being, oh, Israel is so terrible for carrying out these attacks on Hezbollah because they're going to try to appease the radicals. But I think they're going to have to downplay it because if you speak out against Hezbollah and justify Israel, then all of the Palestinian Muslims in Michigan are going to be mad. They need to win Michigan, so the Democrats are not probably going to do that. Then if you speak out and against Israel, well, the main base of the Democratic Party does still support Israel. So it's really a caught between a rock and a hard place. Could this escalate? I mean, Iran doesn't seem to be interested in fighting any real war on its own. I think it's because they know they would lose. So they would much rather fund these minor league terrorist organizations because they're very cowardly and don't have the courage to actually stand up and fight themselves for what they believe in. They would much rather run these under the table deals with all these different terrorists. Iran does not want Trump to win because if Iran has to deal with the Trump administration, they're not going to get money. The Biden-Harris administration has been giving Iran money. And they just use that money to support all their terrorist operations. Trump is going to want the war to end pretty quickly. So that means that Israel is going to have a green light by the United States to just get it done, get it over with, right? So Iran is not for it. But Iran's not the only country that doesn't want Trump in the White House. You know the other country that doesn't want Trump in the White House? Ukraine. Now, I know that you have been told, right? You've been told that Ukraine is the great sign of hope and freedom, standing up against the evil atrocities of Russia. And yet, I've just noticed, I just set my stream. I don't see any comments. Do I have the comments turned off here? Or are y'all just listening because I'm just so captivating that you have nothing to say? So if if I've got the comments turned off, I apologize. Otherwise, maybe I've just been so interesting and captivating that nobody's even felt the need to comment. So with that being said, I'm just going to take it as a compliment for now. And if you can't comment, maybe I messed up on the stream settings or whatever, and I do apologize. So with that being said, Iran is not the only country of which there is a serious foreign nation invested on whether or not Donald Trump wins this election. Ukraine currently has their president. You know him. You've heard all about him. He's been painted as a great hero by the Democrats. That would be Vladimir Zelensky. Once again, my links are not working for me, so let me get it pulled up the old-fashioned way. But Vladimir Zelensky has been traveling the landscapes of America, and he's essentially campaigning for the Harris administration, right? So the Ukrainian president, coming from the Daily Wire again, Vladimir Zelensky was accused of election interference on Monday after visiting the swing state of Pennsylvania, where he made an appearance with Democrats at an ammunition factory. So, looking at all the stuff that we're going to send him. And, why is he looking at the ammunition plants? I'm pretty sure whatever equipment that we're sending them is better than anything that they've got access to. I don't know why he's needing to come over here and look at it. I'm pretty sure that whatever training could be done, it could be done without that. But yet, here he is, President Vladimir Zelensky, basically a U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, but also this somehow, he's almost like a duke or something that we've appointed, the Duke of Ukraine or something like that. Touring this ammunition factory, his appearance at the Scranton Army ammunition plant on Sunday comes after he trashed former President Donald Trump and Senator J.D. Vance during an interview he gave with the New York Magazine while he was still in Ukraine. So while he was in Ukraine, he gave this interview to New York Magazine, and he said, "My feeling is that Trump doesn't really know how to stop the war, even if he might think he knows how," he said. "With this war, oftentimes the deeper you look at it, the less you understand." Zelensky also said, according to this article, that Vance was too radical because Vance believes that Ukraine must make a sacrifice by losing some of its territory to bring its war with Russia to an end. So I have said this many, many times. Trump's position has consistently been that he just wants the war to end. Now, the Democrats do not like that. The Democrats insist, no, Ukraine needs to win the war. I have been continuing to ask, what does that even mean? What does a victory for Ukraine actually look like? And so the debate, the borders, these have been fought back and forth for decades now, ever since the fall of the Soviet Union. Is Zelensky going to be content if just the borders go back to normal? Is that his position? But is that actually Ukraine winning? Maybe. I don't know. But it needs to be defined. I feel like the left continues to just speak in very vague terms. Well, we want Ukraine to win the war. Well, what does winning look like? Is it just reclaiming the land that was originally taken? And if so, how is that going to end the war? Vladimir Putin has already shown that he's not going to be content with letting things go back to normal. So you're just going to get one continuous, never-ending war. It's always going to continue to be fought. Just consider, let's take Israel, for example. There is never going to be a time until the Lord comes back. There is never going to be a time that the Palestinian people are not going to be trying to take Israel because they see it as their land. Russia, right or wrong, sees Ukraine as Russian land. It belongs to them. The ability to win the war is such a vague statement. It needs to be defined. For example, Israel. What is truly the solution for Israel? That's a great question. I would say what it's not, though, is allowing the Hamas governing power in Gaza to continue to operate, because they're always going to be trying to target them. And the more people that you have in different areas trying to attack you, the more problems you'll have. If they could just get rid of that in Gaza, that threat, then now you've only got it on certain parts of the border, not other areas. These are all difficult concepts. With that being said, Zelensky, why are you in our country? Why are you trying to campaign on behalf of the Harris administration? We do not care what you think. All right? Truth be told, it's hard to even put into words how little we should care about the opinion of foreign leaders that just want our money. I think Zelensky would like the war to end, but he clearly is not willing to make any kind of compromises on land at all. So he wants every bit of it, maybe a little bit more, I don't know. Maybe he wants compensation. This is punishment. You should punish Russia for trying to take our land. Let us extend our borders a little bit further. Whatever the case may be, whatever he's wanting, it's not a realistic scenario. Trump is talking in terms of the possible, of the realistic. Vance is talking in terms of the possible, of the realistic. The Democrats, just as they do with Israel, two-state solution, two-state solution. Yeah, how's that two-state solution been going? Not very good. This is not going to go any better. We need realistic solutions to this very real-world problem, right? And why Zelensky is traveling up and down the Rust Belt declaring the Democrats to be on his side is absurd. Now, it does absolutely make sense why he would support the Democrats, because Zelensky has essentially seized power in Ukraine. And so, very much, Democrat-esque. Says Zelensky was flown to the state by the U.S. Air Force, where he was treated by Shapiro on the tarmac. That would be Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania. According to a video he posted on X, he also met with Senator Bob Casey, a Democrat, and Congressman Matt Cartwright, also a Democrat. I visited a plant that manufactures 155mm artillery shells, he wrote on social media. Now for our warriors who are defending not only our country, not only Ukraine, the plant will be ramping up production. I began my visit to the United States by expressing my gratitude to all the employees at the plant and by reaching agreements to expand cooperation between Pennsylvania and our, I don't know what this is, Zaporizhia. I don't know what that means. If you know what that means, that'd be great. It's in places like this where you can truly feel that the democratic world can prevail. Places like that. Is he talking about Pennsylvania, the United States, or is he talking about the federal government ammunition plant? That's what I'm wondering. You walk into the federal ammunition plant, you say, this is democracy right here. This is the people. The will of the people, the desires of the people. This war has been going on for nearly 2 years now? What has really changed? Ukraine has lost some land. Russia's lost a little bit. Ukraine has even pushed in some areas. There is no scenario that we are looking at that is going to bring the war to an end without some kind of drastic compromise from both parties. Like Trump said, he wants people to stop dying. Now, I think it's fine to have, I think it's good to have Ukraine as a border state, a buffer state, but they don't need to be in NATO. I don't think that's a good idea either. All it is just the longer the war goes on, the greater the probability that we find ourselves in escalated situation. Same thing with Israel as well. So I don't care what he thinks. We're going to, I don't care what Zelensky thinks. We're going to do our own thing because we're America and we're not beholden to, presidents who've seized power in other countries and wanting to wage their own personal wars. All right, let's talk to the chat. Looks like finally people started rolling in. I don't know why I couldn't see the chat. Maybe you just all decided to hop in and start talking just all of a sudden. But I'm going to say hi to you. We've got a little bit of time left, and we'll just chat and visit for a moment. If you have anything that you want to mention. Ken says, good morning, folks. Just driving around Memphis with your head on a swivel. Very entertaining 2 hours yesterday. Be careful in Memphis. Yeah, the old country song, Walking in Memphis. I don't recommend it. I have been to the big pyramid that is the Bass Pro Shops, and that's about it. Yeah, thanks for watching. Yeah, Ken did tune in yesterday to the Grace Life podcast. That was a fun time. Rick Allen's on. Great to see you, Rick. My mom's here. Mark has fanboys now. We have Dr. Campbell in the house. Carol said, great podcast yesterday. Thank you, Carol. I really appreciate it. Ken says he's famous now. That's right. Yeah, all 60 people, right, who watched the podcast yesterday. Yeah, that uncovered the plot and made the arrest the day before Crook's attempt and still didn't up the security. Yeah. A lot of questions. Chuck says the woman in Kentucky that learned under Randy started a podcast called But It Says, and she needs T-shirts with her slogan on it too. She's really good and figured out how to do mini teachings. It's interesting. Yeah, talking about the move to cause unrest through all the massive immigration. Ken says if the system collapses, they come in and seize power. I'm laughing at y'all's ideas for these pictures here for the T-shirts. Okay, yeah, so you did start commenting. The Baze boys, Myra. Yeah, apparently for whatever reason, YouTube, the live chat was struggling a little bit, and I couldn't see your comments. I don't know why, but it's good to see now. I thought that's weird. Normally they're all in there chatting about whatever, you never know what they're going to be discussing at the time. And so I had no idea. I am going to work on it. I need to talk to, so we have a lady at our church, her name is Corey. And Corey has a small business where she does T-shirts and stuff. And we need to have some T-shirts made. What I am wanting to do is maybe do something like, I don't know if it's like Blue Baptist Church, and then on the back saying something like studying the Bible grammatically, historically, something like that. Maybe we'll do like a men's edition, say, make churches manly again or something like that. Rick says, raise your hand if you respect, appreciate, and do take Mark very seriously. I appreciate it. I don't know where that one came from exactly. But that's good. Oh, okay. I see a new name on here I've never seen before. I just now saw one pop up. Topeka Bill. Topeka Bill. Topeka Bill. Is that like Topeka, Kansas, right? If is that where you're from, be sure to let me know where you are. Let's see here. So what we have coming up the rest of the week. One of the things I'm going to be working on is getting the rest of our Philippians study up. I know I've been a little bit slow on that. I do apologize. Last week was really busy. Had a number of tests to take for Hebrew and systematic theology, whatnot. I am a seminary student. This week I'm going to try to be getting some more of those uploaded. As a matter of fact, probably once I log off here, I'm going to go ahead and get another one uploaded for you. Session should be session number 6 as we continue our Philippians study. Tomorrow night, Wednesday night, I'll be covering some more of our study there, getting into Philippians chapter 3, actually. And so with that, that's what we're going to be looking at. Now, we're probably going to be getting ready for a new series. I probably just am going to have one more series on this Onward Christian Soldiers for this Sunday. And then we'll be maybe getting back to understanding the teachings of Jesus, because the truth is, I think that's the real heart of the matter. When you gather for church, we're not there just to have a good time or to have some rah, go get 'em Tiger speech, which is kind of to a degree what some of these sermons have been. But I know people sometimes, they need a little bit of inspiration, and maybe you just got to shake things up every now and then, give them a little bit of a change of pace to where it breaks up some of the monotony, I guess. But I could just teach on different matters every Sunday and be perfectly content. That's probably what we'll be getting back to. Now, other than that, other things that I have that I want to get accomplished for you, right now, I don't want to, speak and then things not go well, but let me just say this. You've probably noticed that our live streams have been doing quite well, right? Good, strong connection, really consistent. I mean, it's been running great, okay? I hate to say it, because who knows, it could crash right now or tomorrow, and then it all just go down in flames. I say all that to say, Starlink, now that I've gotten some of the settings adjusted, seems to be working excellent, right? I have setting in my office at the church. Don't tell anybody, because they may try to break in and take it. But I have a brand new Starlink system for the church. And on Thursday, I'm going to be working on trying to get it installed. I don't know if I have all the mounts yet, so I'm going to tell you this. Unlikely that I will have Starlink installed at the church this week, okay? So don't expect us to go live this week. With that being said, I'm going to try very hard, very, very hard to get our Starlink installed and set up at the church, not by this Sunday, but next Sunday. And we should, I think, be going live every Sunday and Wednesday night. So you will be able to actually watch the services in real time. What that means for you is that you won't have to wait for me to upload things. Like you're still waiting on me to upload Sunday morning. I haven't even uploaded our most recent last days session. So I'll get that going to where you're just being able to get all the content instantly as it's going live. So I'm really excited about that. The church has just been so great to support me in that. And a lot of you made it possible too, because truth be told, my church, it's a small church. They can't afford me to work full time. All right, they can't. And so your donations actually buy me some of that time. I'm able to get some extra help because my wife is working, and it is what it is. And so I can have somebody come in, buys me time to go work, but also your donations help me with some of the equipment. Like, truth be told, that angle, like let's just go ahead and pull this up. And so I'm preaching right here. This is from our most recent, Our Churches Are Emasculated. Like that, what you're seeing right there, as far as the camera, the equipment that's used for this, that is all absolutely Mark Baze Ministries equipment, the camera, the recording equipment. And so you have absolutely made all that possible. So thank you for that. And so I'm excited about getting that done. So Topeka Bill is from Indiana. So Topeka, Indiana. Rick says, how about adding a live studio audience to Shields and Arrows? Man, I guess I could just throw all my, yeah. Kristen says he already has a live studio audience. Rick, they're just all 3 and under. Yeah. Something that I want to do, and this is going to be, it's all going to be progress. I think that eventually we'll probably start doing Shields and Arrows quite a bit from actually the church. I have a really nice setup at my office, just as far as the way the office looks. And so I think it's coming, the day in which I start going live, and it's in my church office. Have a pretty nice background in it, I think, already. And when that day comes, yeah, maybe so. Maybe people can come on in if they want to swing by the church and watch Shields and Arrows in person. I only charge, $20 a head, something like that. Maybe if you just take me out for lunch afterwards, then maybe I won't charge you. Topeka Bill says, I do mostly download and watch at more convenient times. You're subscribed just rarely on a live. Yeah, that's fine. I understand. Your schedule is what it is. I know a lot of people work in the mornings, but maybe some people drive during this time of day, like Ken. Ken's always on the road. And sometimes others, you may be able to tune in and listen. So I just appreciate any time you get to listen in. The great thing about going live is you can watch it live, or it is automatically being live streamed, so it uploads in short order on its own to where you don't have to wait on me to edit it, because it's kind of funny. When you go live, the audio and video sync up at least pretty well. When you see my lips moving, the sound is in sync. But in recording, though, it actually doesn't, and so I have to resync the audio and the video, and it's kind of a pain. But all right, well, that brings us to the end of my topics for today. I appreciate all of you dropping in and taking the time to watch. We are going to be back here tomorrow, probably going to be talking about some more stuff regarding the election. I know, but we're getting close. It's a matter of what? Just 6 weeks away, I think. It's getting extremely close. And so we're going to be looking at it, who can win. I think it's anybody's game right now. It doesn't surprise me at all. Assuming everything is run fair, and that's a big assumption in our elections, it could be Vice President Harris, or it could be Trump. And hopefully it's Trump, because Harris is just awful, and I'm not afraid to say it, okay? She has been getting by far too long with not having any actual policies, and what policies she does have, she either just steals it from Joe Biden or Trump. And so with that being said, if you like politics and you're a conservative, you probably really like this show. If you hate politics and you hate conservative principles, then you probably hate this show and you're not even watching. So I'm not even worried about it. But if you watch this show, I know there's one thing that you care about, and you care about good, sound doctrine. And so the Daily Show, we're a little bit of everything. We'll talk about all sorts of stuff. Sometimes we'll get into theology as well, like Theology Thursday. If you have a question, 2 days. Thursdays, I answer all of your theology questions. So be getting ready to have me some good questions in the docket, okay? And but the rest of the time, Sunday mornings, Wednesday nights, all of those matters, that's whenever we jump into Bible study. All right, with all that being said, appreciate all of you taking the time to join us today. This is Shields and Arrows, where we defend the faith, the family, and the fellowship, and we're going to continue to do so. And it's all thanks to you. If you would like to support this ministry, none of this happens just easily on its own. It does take some resources, some money. You can donate at markbazeministries.org. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. We'll be back here tomorrow with more. Thank you.